This is KTN Friday Briefing with Betty Kialo.
Kabla tufike Kiambu town tukabrokiwa na gari ingine. Kubrokiwa ikakuwa ni officers ambao walitushika na huyo dereva tulikuwa naye tukapeleka mpaka Gigiri police station.
Cruel justice. What next for a man who was wrongfully jailed for 6 years?
We also managed to persuade the rebels to release a Kenyan plane and pilot.
We have to carry out some investigations, and once the process is completed, all the necessary action is going to be taken based on the legal system that we have in place.
Not so fast. Why South Sudan rebels won't release Kenyan pilot just yet.
Lakini kama umekataa, Saba Saba yuaja. Saba Saba yuaja.
What is that which is the objective and the goal and the outcome expected of dialogue?
Courts march to Saba Saba while liberation icons are not too sure.
Maboma kama msichana anakaa bado tairi, kama unakaa baba anakufa mama anakufa na sisi hataki.
Culture versus the law, puzzle of a new push for FGM in Kajiado. Glad to have you on Friday Briefing tonight. Trust you're well. We have a great show lined up. And by great, I mean we have Kenya's biggest, fastest and hottest bikes that you've just seen. And of course, their riders will be joining us shortly on the show. And to kick this off, my colleague Edith Kimani will be joining me a little bit later. She's outside the building and she will be taking this show to another level with adrenaline. Actually, let me bring in Edith Kimani right now. Edith, what do you have for us outside there?
Thank you very much, Betty Kialo. My name is Edith Kimani. I'm outside in the cold. It's quite nippy. And I'll be taking over from Betty Kialo as of next Friday while she goes on maternity leave. And obviously, we wish her all the best. But to usher me in, Betty Kialo, first of all, threw me out in the cold. Thank you very much, Betty. But also exposed me to one of the most dangerous sports and hobbies in the world. I'm talking about biking or motorcycling, as some of you might want to call it. I'm sure you can hear it from the back, so let me just introduce them to KTN Friday Briefing. I'm just gonna stand here lest they crash me. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. They're finding it difficult to hear me because of all the noise, but let's try again. I wish I could whistle. There we are. Well, Betty, this is what we're talking about. This is what we'll be talking about doing Friday Briefing guest anchor. I'm actually quite scared, so I'm just going to hand it back over to you. We'll be talking about this later on.
It is, first of all, I'm jealous and I'm also so scared for you. But of course, that's what we have lined up tonight. You cannot miss it. You have to tune in until we have our guest anchor segment where we will be knowing more about those bikes and, of course, getting to showcase some of them which are here in studio. Remember also that Willis, the word master, is in Kisumu County, ready for tonight's Mind Your Language lesson. A packed show, I'm telling you, and you can only get it here on Friday Briefing. Well, let's begin with taking a look at our top stories tonight. And we begin tonight with a story that can only be called cruel justice. Imagine spending 6 years in jail for a crime that you did not commit. Well, that is the fate that befell 27-year-old James Chege. James, whose conviction was overturned by a high court early this week, says his only mistake was boarding the wrong vehicle. KTN's Wilkie Sanyabwa has his story and what lawyers say he can do now to get justice.
A little paper bag is all James Chege had to show for the last 6 years, but nothing could dampen his joy and relief. He walked out of Nairobi West Prison on Wednesday, a free man. A high court had cleared him of wrongdoing and overturned his conviction, but not before he served 6 years out of a 14-year sentence.
Nimefurahi sana kupata freedom tena. Nimefurahi sana juu hakuna kitu nzuri kama freedom.
In 2008, Chege was waiting for a matatu when a taxi driver offered to ferry him together with 2 ladies to their destination for 20 shillings each. The ladies alighted along the way. A few meters down the road, police intercepted the car. Chege and the car owner would be accused of robbing a man of goods worth over 800,000 shillings, including the car, using an AK-47 rifle. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison.
Maisha ya jela ni ngumu. Ni vile tu lazima tu kuwe tu na imani one day utatoka.
His years in prison are a blur, but the events of June 10th are etched in his mind. It was the day when 2 High Court judges overturned Chege's conviction. Edna Arati, an advocate, says Chege could sue the state for wrongful detention.
He can go back to the trial court and file a case for malicious prosecution because the trial court has jurisdiction in the circumstances, and he'll go for damages, special damages. For instance, for time lost, he has been in jail for the last 6 years, and he will definitely be awarded because it's evident that the prosecution did not have enough evidence against him.
Mambo ya kuhusu serikali sijai venye mtu anaweza suama. Nimempigia lakini sijui tutakutana tao. Tumemwambia tukutane tao.
Before his incarceration, the firstborn in a family of 6 harbored hopes of becoming a mobile phone technician. During his time in prison, he took computer lessons and developed interest in farming. But life has changed. Both his parents died while he was in prison, and his siblings are older. At 27, Chege acknowledges that life has moved on and he must find his place in it.
Kama umekaa 6 years jela na huko unaan. Sasa hata kazi yote tu ukipata na unaan, unaweza jivumilia tu at least. Pata kama ni capital.
Wilkison Abwa, KTN.
Now, earlier in the week, we told you about a promise by Deputy President William Ruto that the Kenyan pilot being held by rebels in South Sudan will be released. Well, tonight, there is a new twist. The rebels now say they are not aware of any plans to release the pilot they are holding. The rebel spokesperson, who is based here in Nairobi, says the pilot will have to go through the justice system to determine if he can be freed or not.
We also managed to persuade the rebels to release a Kenyan plane and pilot who have been held for the last 10 days in rebel-controlled territory.
These were the sentiments of the Deputy President William Ruto on Wednesday on his return from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Many welcomed the message given that the South Sudanese rebel leader Riek Machar was personally present at the IGAD meeting Ruto had just attended. Hopes were high that the Kenyan pilot held hostage by the rebels in South Sudan would be coming home. The spokesman for the rebels has just dashed those hopes.
We don't need to give time frames like saying it is 5 days. Why are they not being released? We have to carry out some investigations.
Speaking exclusively to KTN in Nairobi, the spokesman for the South Sudan rebels said it will not be as easy as it seems and said negotiations by the deputy president were directed at Salva Kiir's administration, yet rebels are a separate entity from it.
We are non-state actors, but we also have a legal system that is in place. We have lawyers, we have judges, we have prosecutors. So the case is going to be brought against the pilot and all those who are involved.
Earlier this week, IGAD threatened South Sudan's warring factions with sanctions unless they stop all military operations. The bloc leaders held discussions with both Kiir and Machar, who apparently agreed to complete all negotiations within the coming 60 days. However, the general differs that this has not been the case.
It looks like the government is interested in fighting and talking. So we are going also to adopt the same approach.
The Kenyan pilot, a passenger and the charter plane were taken by the rebels in Jonglei State and held on accusations that they were on assassination mission against the rebel commanders. Najma Ismail, KTN Friday Briefing.
Najma's story that is obviously worrying leads us to a big question tonight, and we're asking, do you think the government is doing enough to get the Kenyan pilot back home? Do you think the Kenyan government is doing enough to get the Kenyan pilot back home? That's our big question tonight, our focus for this bulletin tonight. And the number is 22155. That's if you prefer to text, but you can also tweet me at Betty Callow or with the hashtag Friday Briefing, and we'll be sampling your views as we move along. Let's now turn to that debate that has puzzled anti-FGM campaigners. In fact, a section of leaders from the Maasai community are now calling for an alternative rite of passage for Maasai girls after the practice of female genital mutilation was banned in the law. Well, this follows a growing push in Kajiado to have FGM legalized.
The women gathered at the Enkorika village in Kajiado Central, formalizing discussions on a matter that has already seen them hold demonstrations at Isinya Market. They want female circumcision among the Maasai to continue despite the law against it.
Kwa sababu iko maboma kama msichana anakaa bado tairi, kama unakaa baba nakufa mama nakufa na sisi hataki.
The men also joined the women in the meeting, throwing their weight behind the pro-FGM campaigners. Their reasons for supporting the cut:
kutahiri wasichana ni lazima. Kwa ajili hakuna uwezo kupata kijana anachukua msichana hajatahiriwa kwa kimila yetu.
Now, the elected and administrative leaders from Kajiado County and beyond are caught in a dilemma. On the one hand, they have to make the pro-FGM campaigners that is now a legal matter, and on the other, they must not be seen to be trashing a culture the people are fighting to defend.
From Monday next week, the Honorable Senator will be meeting some women elites, and each of the county members have also agreed on programs in their counties, in their wards, and go to those people and make them understand.
When you see these ladies, I think they were politically motivated to go there. And the people behind this should actually be condemned in the strongest term.
Just last week, a young girl bled to death soon after undergoing the cut, leading to protests across Kajiado. Najma Ismail, KTN Friday Briefing.
Now here in Kenya, members of the national soccer team Harambee Stars finally got their tickets to participate in the World Cup. Well, just as spectators, the team may not have qualified for the tournament, but President Uhuru Kenyatta and his wife Margaret Kenyatta, together with the East African breweries, will send them to Brazil to watch the matches. Well, speaking at State House, where he hosted the traveling team, President Kenyatta said the trip is meant to inspire the team to work towards sharing the same platform in future. Officials say the trip will not affect the Kenyan Premier League since they will be away after the first leg next week.
James Situma. Francis Kahata. Clifton Miheso.
We want our boys to go out to Brazil. We hope that this will encourage them to do even better as they watch the standards of other international teams that will be participating, in the World Cup. We hope that they will emulate what they see. We hope it will encourage them.
We are very much grateful for the support. We were able to win the Sekafa. Thanks to that, we were able to proceed to the second round of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers.
Right, and we are back. That is just one of the Superbikes that made their entrance here at the Standard Group.
Ask me about the Superbikes. I know.
Edith,
I nearly died.
you must have been so scared.
I was.
All right, let me introduce, of course you know Edith Kimani, hey, but then let me introduce DJ Styles, who is behind this whole, what do I call
My
it?
attempted death.
No, I mean, she was okay, right?
Yeah, she was okay. She tried.
She tried.
She tried.
But
She
you guys were
tried.
going so close to her. It was so scary.
She was freaked out. She was standing like this, and the bikes were going all round and round and round. But she managed. She managed.
How safe is it? But then you look. I really like your
Thank you.
suit. I think
Thank you. Thank you.
How do you? What do you call it? A suit? A biker's suit?
That's a full leather kangaroo suit, not your leather. Kangaroo leather suit.
Kangaroo the
Yeah,
leathers.
not
Okay.
your ordinary cattle leather. So it's got protection on this side. Protection here.
I mean, I don't know. Does kangaroo protect better than cattle?
Yeah, they do. The leather is stronger than cattle. So if you bring it down, you can see the boots over here.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
You got the knee sliders over here. You bring it up, take it to the back.
Oh,
you got the
there
hump
we
at the
go.
back, and then a little butt protection, just to make sure everything is cool.
So obviously the back one, it's called the spine something.
No, that's a hump.
A hump.
What
Can
happens-
I hit it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty hard.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you fall, you're still okay.
Yes, actually, what the hump does is if you fall,
Yeah.
you got your helmet on, your neck doesn't snap back. So it's,
Sounds painful.
Yeah. No, but it's safe. Like if you're dressed, I've fallen with these clothes, this exact same clothes.
And you still go back to the same bikes?
Yeah, I mean-
Tell us a bit about the bikes. I mean, they're really hot. I don't
Wow.
know.
Okay.
Edith, do you think so?
They're really.
I mean,
They're really scary. They're big. They're really loud.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
Something wrong with my mic.
Okay, something wrong with Edith's mic, but just tell us something about it.
I mean, if we can move down to the bikes,
Yeah.
can I go there?
Sure,
I
feel
can
free,
go there.
feel
All right.
free, yeah.
So we got the Superbike Championship happening this Sunday.
Yes, yes.
And what we have is two bikes from the two categories.
Okay.
What you have here is a Honda CBR 600.
A what?
It's called a Honda CBR 600.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a 600cc bike. This bike will be racing on that day on Sunday. This particular one. Okay. It's a very nice bike, very stable, nice and nifty. So if you're going down the corners, it drops down pretty
Can you
well.
carry? I don't know. Maybe you should just roar it just a bit.
You want to hear it?
Yeah,
Okay,
if the keys
okay,
are on there, why
okay,
not?
Okay, let's hope it starts. The keys have been on for a minute. Crossing
Okay.
my fingers.
All right.
All right. We're going to move to the next one, huh?
Okay.
Okay.
That one has refused.
Yeah. So this is what we have nicknamed.
Okay.
We call this the Hulk machine.
Okay.
All right.
Hulk.
Yes.
So pretty.
It's so pretty.
Yeah. So can it go on?
Yeah. That's 1,000 cc's.
1,000.
1,000
That's
cc's.
a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay.
That's a lot. It's matching your dress.
I know. I like it. I wish I could get. Whoa. Okay, Styles. You've scared everyone. You've scared me. You've scared everyone.
So that's a Kawasaki Ninja
A
ZX10R.
Kawasaki. I know those are the best bikes, I think. Maybe.
That's relative.
Okay, that's relative.
That's
All right,
relative.
Styles, we'll be getting back to this conversation in just a short while,
Yeah.
together with Edith. At least, get your mic checked. All right. They'll be joining me in just a short while. But for now, let's have another new development. And the High Court has barred 3 digital television distribution companies from broadcasting FIFA World Cup matches through the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation channel. Now, the order was given against Wananchi Group Limited, which hosts Zuku Pan-African Network Group, Kenya Limited, and Star Times Media Kenya Limited. Well, KBC claimed the 3 companies had hacked into the KBC channel and illegally broadcasted World Cup matches on their platform.
Lawyer Kennedy Ogeto filed an urgent case at the Milimani Law Courts on behalf of KBC, seeking to stop Wananchi Group Limited, Pan-African Network Group Kenya Limited, and Star Times Media Kenya Limited from broadcasting the 2014 FIFA World Cup matches that are being held in Brazil for the next 1 month. Arguing the case before Justice Eric Ogola of the Commercial Division, KBC accused the 3 pay TV digital companies of illegally and defiantly broadcasting the commencement of the tournament and related events on their platform through KBC television signal, yet they have no license or authority from KBC to broadcast the World Cup tournament. KBC argued that it was granted exclusive broadcast rights in the free-to-air platform where the public need not pay subscription fee to access the competition. KBC petitioned the court to restrain the three companies from advertising, broadcasting, airing or promoting the 2014 FIFA World Cup, since doing so would be infringing on KBC's copyright in Kenya.
Restraining the respondents from proceeding to broadcast those matches.
There's a contract between KBC and FIFA, and that contract clearly outlaws the broadcasting of these matches on any other channel other than on KBC.
KBC maintains it purchased the exclusive rights to broadcast the World Cup in the free-to-air platform in order to exploit the tournament's commercial gains from advertisements. KBC said the three pay TV companies were illegally associating themselves with the World Cup and receiving adverts and other related benefits. The state broadcaster says it stands to lose revenue in excess of 1 billion shillings, comprising of license fee and lost advertisement revenues over blatant infringement on its intellectual property rights. KBC expressed concern that it could be bankrupted should it be sued by FIFA for breach of media rights license.
They had been notified that they should not broadcast using KBC's signal, but they went ahead and tapped on that signal, actually hacked the signal, and proceeded to broadcast the matches. And that's why I said it is illegal. It is actually criminal to do that.
What the court orders means is that consumers who had bought decoders for Zuku, StarTimes and Pan-African Network will not be able to watch World Cup matches until the case is heard and determined. Patrick Amimo, KTN at the Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi.
Well, to some politics now, and court principals Raila Odinga and Moses Wetangula took their dialogue campaigns to Migori, asking the government to urgently convene the talks they are asking for. The opposition leaders have threatened to lead protests in those talks if those talks are not convened before the 7th of July. KTN's Western Kenya, Fredo Mulo, will have the details in just a short while. But also in another political front, the court rallies are due to climax on a political significant day in Kenya's struggle for democracy. But now, some of the people who took part in the original Saba Saba protests are warning that the agenda right now may not be in line with what they fought for back then. The Saba Saba heroes, Timothy Njoya and Paul Mwita, say court should come out very clearly on what they hope to achieve in their latest clamor. KTN senior political reporter Samugina now looks back on the magic of Saba Saba and why court may be seeking to ride on it.
It was intense, daring, previously inconceivable in a country where the police were a powerful and ruthless machine. That was the first Saba Saba riots that rocked Nairobi and the outlying towns in July 1990. And now, as if to recapture the mood of that time, CORD, some of whose members were part of that clamor, has picked on the date as the climax of its call for national dialogue.
Tuelewane mapema kabla Saba Saba, lakini kama umekataa Saba Saba iwaja, Saba Saba iwaja, sawa.
Reverend Timothy Mboya was at the heart of the Saba Saba clamor right from the start. In fact, he paid dearly for it 7 years later when he was thoroughly beaten by supporters of the KANU regime at the time. 24 years after the first Saba Saba, he says the current push for dialogue is suspect.
We also need to know what is the change envisaged. Is it power sharing? Is it a coalition government? And because we've not been very clearly articulated.
Give them space to govern. Yes, criticize them. But if in addition you want to engage in constructive dialogue, do so by accepting their legitimacy. Engage them through that legitimacy.
CORD has what it calls a 5-point plan agenda for the National Dialogue Forum. They have identified as problem areas the question of security, corruption, national unity, constitutional inclusivity in public appointments, and devolution and restructuring of the provincial administration.
Economic growth faces a lot of challenges, the main one being corruption. Because even this issue of insecurity that we keep talking about now, you will find a very definite connection and thread with corruption.
Saba Saba is considered to have been a key turning point in Kenya's quest for democracy. Njoya still recalls the early seeds he and other members of the clergy planted before politicians like Kenneth Matiba and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga took over.
Everywhere, every part of Kenya, people are ready for change. So it is not me who had changed him. It is their own grievances, their own disgruntlement, their own dissidence. It is their own dissatisfaction and disaffection with what was happening in Kenya. So all I was doing is tapping, simply tapping the Kenya spirit that time.
The Saba Saba uprising resulted in the deaths of 21 people in Nairobi. Most of those who championed it would be rounded up for detention. For Mwite, it came in the form of summons to report to State House.
Of course, I did not take any apology. And I went, I met him, and I did my best to convince him that the rioting was because of the error of Moi's government in refusing to allow people to meet peacefully.
It is perhaps the power and the effect of the Saba Saba rallies that has influenced the choice of the date by the court team. But with so much water under the bridge since the first meeting in Kamukunji, the opposition coalition has its work cut out ahead of the much publicized rally. Samugina, KTN.
Right, it's time to take a short commercial break before we get to the bikes that I'm seeing we're all getting excited about. But let's have a reminder of our big question tonight. And tonight we're asking you, is the government doing enough to get the Kenyan pilot back home? Is the government doing enough to get the Kenyan pilot back home? That's our big question tonight. The number is 22155. But you can also tweet me at Betty Kyalo or with the hashtag Friday Briefing. And I'll be sampling your views as we move along in this bulletin. Well, we take that break. When we come back, DJ Styles, Edith Kimani will be joining me on set to talk about these beautiful machines that are also so fast. Don't go away.
In the last 1 month alone, we have lost 3 health workers to acts of crime. 3 health workers have been murdered. Dr. Biri, a senior surgeon. Then we lost Mr. Bernard Babu, a worker at Mary Stopes Hospital. And just recently, we lost Dr. Imbogo, an ophthalmologist at this institution, that we will personally hold accountable the politician who is responsible for this kind of action.
You are watching KTN Friday Briefing.
Welcome back to KTN Friday Briefing. What you're seeing on your screens right now are just shots that we took earlier on when the bikers came into the studio. Well, they didn't make it into the studio, but that's what they were doing outside before a cameraman actually got scared and decided that he doesn't want to take any more shots. These are really powerful machines. Alan telling us that up to 1,000 cc, and I know there are others which come with even bigger engines. We'll be talking about that just shortly.
I love that.
Here
I just love that.
It's called the Dawn, I can see from the back. Or is the person who rides it the Dawn?
Yeah, the person who rides the Dawn. Big shout out to Bull.
To Bull?
He's called Bull.
Actually, there's so. I wish we could get a shot. We have so many bikers. We have
quite a few.
We should actually turn. I don't know whether the camera can turn around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can it do that?
This guest
guy is actually
you brought,
taking over.
This guest anchor. We are now the guest anchors.
You're the guest. You're the guest anchors. We are the anchors.
All right.
So we'll see how you can get that shot of them.
Yeah.
But welcome to KTN Friday
Thank
Briefing.
you.
It's great to have you.
Thank you.
I love your machines. So many people are thinking we're giving them out. Maybe we should ask a question and maybe you know.
We should do a raffle dial.
Yeah. Or something. Give one of our viewers one of the.
Yeah, man. So like I said, they're really powerful machines.
Yes.
And on this Sunday, that's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. Tell us about the Superbike Championship.
It's the first ever in Eastern Central Central Africa.
Yes.
It's never been done before. And what makes it unique is there are only 2 countries in the world where they close the streets.
Okay.
That's Canada and Monaco. Now add Kenya.
Oh, really?
All right. This we're
How
going to
many
be the
streets
third
are we
ones.
talking, and
We're
which
talk-
streets are these?
We're talking about 4 streets in industrial area. So on Sunday, if you're coming to Commercial Street, Bunyala, Enterprise, and Machakos Road, those streets will be closed. Because
This will be happening.
this will be happening. We'll be racing down those streets from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday.
There must be a reason why they close them, because it's very dangerous.
Yes,
Earlier
yes.
on, I mean, well, we were talking with them. One of them was going down, and they just fell slightly. But my heart stopped.
Yeah.
And I saw all of you running towards him. Is it
Yeah.
something that happens a lot?
Yeah.
I mean, when you get on a bike, it's like a bicycle. You will fall. You know
Is
what I mean?
it like a bicycle?
It is
You
like
had
a bicycle.
1,000 cc's
Just add 1,000
under you.
cc's to- yeah. So you will fall. So what we do is we make sure that we are geared up. Make sure we have all the protection stuff. When you go down,
Yes.
you're able to get up and go back to your family safe and sound. Because
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's a bike.
So let's. Oh, sorry. Go on.
So is there like a cause behind it, or is it just for fun and to enjoy? You know?
It's actually both. Our cause is border safety awareness.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
and on Sunday we'll be launching a border safety awareness campaign. We've realized a lot of them are not educated on safe riding, are not educated on gear, are not educated on how to be safe on the roads. And a lot of motorists will testify that they've had 1 or 2 incidences.
Exactly, where they hit
They
a
hit, yes, the borders go around
Yes.
and they hit you. And even within our own biking community, we've had incidences where we've had accidents with borders not following the rules, not understanding what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So our main agenda is border safety awareness.
Okay.
Our second agenda is fun.
Fun.
We have to have fun.
Very, very scary fun. But I just
Yeah.
want to paint a picture, give people perspective.
Yes.
When we talk about borders, how many cc's are we talking?
Yes.
Your average border is actually 50 cc's. 50, yeah, to at most 125. And 125 is for the border guy who's balling. Like that's the guy. He's got a 125 cc. When you look at that machine right there, that's 1,000 cc. That's a Vitz.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a Vitz on 2 wheels.
So when
Yeah.
we say it's a Vitz on 2 wheels, there are people
Yeah.
who are saying, "Oh my goodness, I really like those machines."
Yes.
How much would it cost? Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. This is a Friday briefing.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be a briefing
real
if
talk?
we didn't give them the money.
Real
yeah.
talk?
Yeah.
And Hulk will forgive me for saying this. That brand new, 1.6.
Which one?
The green one, brand new, 1.6.
That's like
Actually,
buying a public service vehicle.
1.6, 1.8.
What?
Yeah. That's a car.
Just so we're clear, we're
Yeah.
talking million, right?
We're talking millions.
1.6 million shillings.
Yeah, we're talking millions.
And then
We're talking-
maintenance cost, is it the same?
Maintenance is just as expensive because here's the thing about these bikes. The moment you drop it, you see all the plastics, like you gotta change all of that. And it's expensive. So when you ride it, one of the things we don't want to do is we call it dropping.
Okay.
We don't want to drop it.
So before we go into the story, allow me to
Yeah.
ask one question. If it's so expensive and obviously can be very dangerous,
Yeah.
why go into it as a hobby?
Yeah.
Because I see it. This is how I like to see it. It's one of those things that you cannot explain. Only a biker would tell you the feeling. There's no freedom like being on a motorcycle.
You said it was like
There's-
being on a bicycle.
Yes,
It's not being on a bicycle.
It's like running very fast. I can't explain. Like even my bikers will tell you, we don't know what it is. But when you're on a bike, you feel you're one with the machine. You feel there's wind. You get to appreciate nature, and the fact that you can just open the throttle and you're at 200, just like that. There's no feeling.
I've seen you guys
There's no
ride
feeling like that.
Jambu and you know.
Yeah, you're a fan.
I'm a fan. I've been there to one
Ben
of
is
the.
a fan. Ben is a fan.
I've been there and it was
Yeah.
pretty scary, but a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
But of course,
Yeah.
safety comes first.
Yes, safety
All right.
first.
Great. So it's now time that we want to see if you can join us. Maybe, but probably not.
He has already been on TV, so this is cheating.
This is actually cheating because he was a former presenter of Straight Up.
And
right?
Vibe City. Big shout out to all my Vibe City fans back in the
That's
day.
why he's busy throwing shout outs left, right, and center.
Yeah, man. Yo, big shout out to my mom. She's watching. You know what I mean?
Oh,
she
really?
watches KTN News. So
Oh.
big shout out to moms.
Oh yeah, I love you, mom.
Big shout out my sister, my brother, Matrax. Listen, play his music.
Hey, okay.
Okay, let's go.
Do you have roots in Kakamega? Salamu sana.
So I'm supposed to read this?
Yes. So
Okay.
your camera is camera 2.
Cam 2.
And of course, give it some life and
Could
some
they bring it down a little bit?
Just okay.
You just, all right.
Also, key operator Madeka, maybe you can just start the sentence.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Tell me when to go. We good?
No, you go.
Okay.
Introduce yourself and take it away.
What up? This is Code Red DJ Styles. I'm on the news today. In an interesting turn of events, pupils in public primary schools have now begun putting pressure on their elected representatives to get answers from the Jubilee government over the delayed laptops. Pupils running for national offices to the people elections say they may not be elected if they don't get a comprehensive response from Uhuru Kenyatta's government. Take a look.
They are in Nairobi preparing for the election of national leaders for pupils in public primary schools.
Leaders who are here.
And with a seriousness that would leave many grown-ups in awe and wonder, the elected leaders from the regions were carrying strong messages of grave concern from those they represent. Give us the laptops.
The pupils have pressure on us. They think like we are the ones supplying the laptops. So they really need the laptops since they're saying that we are in the digital generation.
My fellow people who are disabled like me, visually impaired people, are not sure that they are going to be provided the laptops because most of the time the disabled people are being left behind and they're just complaining.
They weren't missing words. They simply lay it out there for the Jubilee administration to listen. The pupils want the promise kept.
And you cannot be digitalized without the technology. So I would really urge the government to supply the laptops that the children need.
First of all, it failed this time round. I hope he is not going to fail this project again.
The Kenya Primary School Heads Association has supported the young leaders. In the 2014-2015 annual budget, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich allocated 17.4 billion shillings for the purchase of laptops. The school heads say there must also be focus on infrastructure in schools.
It is important for us to get our priorities right, because the quality of the teacher gives you the quality of the learner. And therefore, if you have got a shortage of teachers, we are saying you cannot be telling people total quality is being achieved. And the laptop issue was exciting. But I think the way it has been handled and approached and the technicalities behind the scene, that is what we are concerned as educationists.
And a good number of those schools don't even have the basic infrastructure. Some of them don't even have roofs. That's at secondary school level. And even looking at primary schools, we are seeing a good number of primary schools also in the marginalized areas are still under trees.
The national elections for public primary school leaders will be held on Saturday in Nairobi.
Okay, so we're going to take a short commercial break. In the meantime, hashtag Friday Briefing. That's right, hashtag Friday Briefing. You guys got to let me know whether I'm doing good or doing bad, all right? So hashtag Friday Briefing. Follow me at Code Red Styles on Twitter, Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. When we come back, we'll be back with her, all right? Right, yeah.
Debriefing. Let's have a look at the business now. And steel millers and scrap metal dealers are some of the some of the big winners of a new import levy that seeks to shield the local manufacturing industry from cheap steel and iron imports. But what impact will the decision bring with it? Well, Adelaide Changole explores.
The 2014-2015 financial year budget has been received with praise for being a people's budget after the government pulled back on their ever-present need for more revenues. But it did contain one interesting new tax.
I have increased duty rates on a wide range of iron and steel products which are available locally from 0 and 10% to 25% in order to cushion our local industries from cheap imports.
According to the CES, the country's steel mills have had to contend with high energy and labor costs that have inflated the cost of their goods. As a result, many were closing down as cheaper imported iron and steel products flooded the market.
Scrap metal industry employs a lot of people, and the steel mills employ a lot of people. So by bringing the duty on steel, it has really helped.
But the decision could increase the cost of importing steel, which is required in all big-ticket projects like the Standard Gauge Railway, the Lapset project, and the Greenfield Terminal at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. But because it cannot be produced locally, this move could inflate the cost of doing these projects. However, analysts say the country's nascent sector needs all the help it can get if it is to transition into a full-fledged sector capable of competing with players from around the world. Moreover, the government must level the playing field since some of the imports are heavily subsidized in their countries of origin.
We know that we've got various reserves of ore. I think people have talked about Kitui, people have talked about Taita Taveta, and at one point we need to make sure that we've developed a sector that is able to really mine this ore and maybe make it available for the local market consumption.
The country's manufacturing sector currently contributes 8% of GDP, and the government wants to scale this up to 20% in the next 5 years. Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
Irene Koki Mutungi is not a name that many Kenyans may have come across, but it is one they ought to familiarize themselves with. She was the first female pilot at Kenya Airways to fly the Boeing 767 and now is on to bigger and better things. In April, she was certified as Africa's first female captain of the highly anticipated Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Well, Michael Karanja is just back from France, where he got the rare opportunity to speak to Captain Mutungi, who's flying through the glass ceiling.
Charles de Gaulle Airport, Paris. A pensive-looking chief executive cannot hide his excitement as he ushers in Nairobi-bound passengers boarding KQ Flight 113. This is the first flight the highly anticipated Boeing 787 Dreamliner is making on the Paris-Nairobi route. The excitement is palpable. For Titus Naikuni, the long-serving Kenya Airways chief executive, the day could not have come any sooner.
It was very exciting, and the excitement was the fact that, you've had a dream, and you see that dream come through, and of course that excitement comes in. And the dream was to have the 787 carrying passengers, and to see it out here in Paris. Because Paris is a destination that we've always wanted to make sure that we have the right product and it works for us.
Kenya Airways is the second African airline to deploy the Dreamliner to commercial service. After patiently waiting for 4 years, Kenya Airways can now retire its aging fleet of Boeing 767s with a plane that has been dubbed something of a technological revolution in the field of aviation. With 20% less fuel burn as well as extra seating space, the Dreamliner boosts the airline's capacity on the European continent by 8%. Among the enhanced features of the Dreamliner include lower cabin pressure, high humidity levels, and ambient mood lighting, contributing to a more rested feeling upon arrival. In addition to cutting-edge aesthetics that include more spacious interior cabin design featuring larger overhead bins, with custom-made seats in both business and economy class, as well as cleaner air continuously circulating through the advanced air filtration system. For pilots, the plane is a dream to fly. KQ is banking on its joint venture with Air France and KLM to build the Paris route even further, enabling passengers to get more optimal connections and higher frequencies between Africa and Europe.
So when we look at Paris itself, we're really looking at the United States, North Americas, and Southern Europe, and most of Europe.
For Naikuni, who's set to retire in November, the last 11 years have been both challenging and pleasantly rewarding. For a man who doesn't like speaking much about himself, I seized the opportunity to, while cruising 24,000 feet in the air, to press for just what the 62-year-old thinks of his time at KQ and plans for retirement.
I just find the fact that if you start looking at where we were 11 years ago and where we are now, it's satisfying, it's exciting. My retirement, very exciting, extremely exciting, because it'll give me all the freedom to be with my wife, especially.
Michael Karanja, KTN Business.
Well, details of Koki will be coming your way in another bulletin, but right now let's have a look at how your money performed in our financial report.
KTN Business in association with Safaricom Business. And you've got to be connected and stay connected with Safaricom Business. Great visions need great partners.
Well, it's that time that we cross over live to Kisumu County, where Willis, the word master, is standing by for tonight's Mind Your Language lesson. Willis, good evening. Great to see you.
Good evening, Betty. Great to see you too. And before I do my normal job, I wanted to know from you.
Yeah.
What did I hear? Were you talking about going somewhere a bit?
Well, you could say that. You know, Willis, there comes a time when a woman has to make a certain contribution. And I think my time has come. So just for a few months, but I'll be back.
That will be great news. Anyhow, I know Kenya is waiting for another precious, pretty, tough, and brilliant creature.
Well, it's so kind of you, kind words there. But let's get straight to our job tonight. Now we're in the football season and everyone is very excited. But there are a couple of words that are giving us, some problems. Let's start with this one. Do we say arena or arena? Varied pronunciations on that word.
When we look at that word, Betty, it appears as if it should be arena. That is the spelling. But the pronunciation of that word is arena. Arena.
Arena.
Just like we don't say stadium, we say stadium. Stadium.
Okay. Stadium.
Podium, not podium. And we also say won. Won the match, not won.
Okay.
W-O-N, won the match.
Won the match. So Brazil won the match, not won the match. All right. Got it, Willis.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to another one. Do we say apple or apple?
We have letter A at the beginning of that word, but its sound value is A. The sound is A, but the name of the letter is A. So we say an apple. Apple, not apple.
Okay.
Just like we say anger. Anger, not anger.
Okay.
We also say arrow. Arrow, but not arrow.
All right. So it's apple, not apple. Got it, Willis. Moving on to another one that has, a bit of problems. Potato and potato. Also tomato and tomato. Please give us some clearance on that.
I love those two words, Betty. Those two words are very confusing. In the first place, we say potato, potato, not potato. But when it comes to tomato, there are people who find themselves saying tomato.
Yes.
Anyway, tomato is the American pronunciation for that word. But when we are talking about RP, received pronunciation, that is the standard form of British pronunciation. We say tomato, not mato.
All
tomato.
Right. Let's quickly move on to our surprise word for tonight. Which one is it?
I've taken a word borrowed from French, Betty, for tonight, and it will be a surprise. When two people converse privately, or a conversation between two people in private, in most cases you'll hear people saying they are having a tete a tete.
Yes,
we don't say tete a tete. We say tate a tate. Tate a tate.
Tate a tate.
Yes, we say tate a tate, not tete a tete.
Okay.
And then there's the other word, Betty. We also say vis-a-vis. Vis-a-vis. In relation to or in comparison with.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis, not vis-a-vis.
All right. Vis-a-vis, and also that the other one was tete Tate-a-tate.
Tate-a-tate.
Tate-a-tate, Willis.
Yes.
All right, got it. Now, finally, before we go, we have S-Vets who wants to know, do we say curriculum vitae, vitae, vita? That one has varied pronunciations. Very quickly, Willis, finally.
We say curriculum vitae.
Vitae.
Curriculum vitae.
All right.
Vitae. That is
Vitae.
resume.
Okay. Resume. All right, Willis. Willis, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you joining us from Kisumu County for Mind Your Language lesson. I think this is goodbye for some time, just for now, not for too long.
I'll say goodbye, but while you are at home, ensure that you also watch Mind Your Language and KTN Friday Briefing in general.
Definitely will do. Thank you very much. Willis, the word master, coming to us from Kisumu County, teaching us those troublesome pronunciations. That has been Mind Your Language, only on Friday Briefing.
Well, now that we know how to say several words, let's take you to sports where Lynn Washira is going to tell us who is going tete-a-tete in the World Cup. Lynn, I understand that the Netherlands and Spain are probably at it right now.
Oh yes, and I think it's going to be an exciting match. I don't know who you're putting your money on, but I know who I'm putting my money on, but I'm not going to make it public. But that story and many more coming up after a short break. Do stay with us and keep it KTN. Good evening and a warm welcome to KTN Sports. I'm Lynn Washira. Of course, we have to start in Brazil, where Cameroon failed in their bid to hold Mexico in the World Cup Group A match, as Oribe Peralta scored from a rebounded ball to give the South Americans a narrow win. It's a gloomy start for the African continent. But moving on, Brazil started the campaign with a clinical 3-1 win over Croatia. Star striker Neymar carried the burden for the Brazilians' enormous expectations as he scored a brace in a match that Brazil scored all the 4 goals of the match. As well as protests against a referee decision so miles away. But a quick look around and there some were either bored, sleepy, or just caught up at the right place at the wrong time. The final whistle threw fans into celebrations, a clear indication that Brazil has a huge following, with Neymar the name on everyone's lips.
Neymar, his game, excellent, fantastic game.
I'm quite surprised because when Neymar plays for Barcelona, he doesn't play so well for Barcelona as he played today for Brazil. I think Neymar is a Brazilian player and he's more comfortable when he plays at home.
Yes, I'm supporting Brazil. And one thing is that I'm very happy today because my prediction was correct. I predicted Brazil are going to win 3-1.
Croatia was a very organized team. They were very disciplined. But at the end of the day, the Brazilian class put them through.
Elsewhere in Somalia, football fans were forced to cheer in silence due to insecurity issues. And back home, AFC Leopards have beaten a hasty retreat and will travel to Meru for Sunday's Kenya Premier League Top 8 tournament final against Tusker FC. The Leopards then had early in the week hinted at boycotting the final if it was going to be played in Meru. And of course, that's how we end KTN Sports tonight. But do remember that currently world champions Spain are taking on Netherlands in a repeat of the 2010 World Cup final. I don't know who to quite put my money on this one, but I think I'm putting my money on Netherlands, and I hope they do take this one and make it quite interesting. Right. I
feel so sad. I'm gonna cry. We're just about to wind things up here, and just not to wind things up, but I'm about to just leave Edith. Oof.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, we really have to go, and Betty really needs to go on maternity leave.
I'm kidding. But of course, thank you so much for watching Friday Briefing. These are the bikers who have those awesome bikes. You can see more of them on Sunday at the Superbike Championship.
Superbike Championship this Sunday, hashtag Superbike Championship. This Sunday, Commercial Street Industrial Area, 1,000 baht VIP, 500 regular.
Did you say you have tickets for our viewers?
Yeah, I got tickets for the viewers. So hit the hashtag Superbike Championship, hashtag Friday Briefing, those two, and the first 20. We'll give you guys
20 tickets. That's a lot.
Yeah. 20 tickets.
We do it big.
You do it big. Thank you. Okay, so we have now to do the handover. So, Edith, this is the iPad I've been using.
This is so ridiculous.
So there you go. And also, I'm giving her a comb to, brush your hair.
Because I usually don't have mine. Thank you very much, Betty.
She doesn't brush her hair, so make sure you do. I'll be seeing you in 4 months.
In 4 months, and we do wish you...
Be good to Edith. She's such a wonderful soul. Sometimes, maybe not all the times.
Well, we wish you all the best, Betty, and thank you. Now that I've officially taken over the show, thank you very much for watching KTN Friday Briefing. My name is Edith Kimani, and thank you to all the bikers, Styles. And we want to hear a little bit of that revving before we go. From the Hulk and the Dawn.
Wow, good night.
Oh, don't be shy. Keep going.
Keep going.
Clutch.
Now that you know, it costs 4 shillings per minute to call from here to here, but just 3 shillings per minute to call from here to here. Talk more because you can. Conversation changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
To download this song as your ringtone, SMS the keyword below to 22455. SMS the keyword to 22455.
Air Travel and Related Studies Center is the premium training institution for diploma in food production. Enroll today and learn with professionals. Because we believe in setting standards, visit us at Bazaar Plaza, Moi Avenue, 10th floor. Air Travel and Related Studies Center, setting standards in training.
Did you know that under the new National Social Security Fund, NSSF Act, every employee upon employment is required to furnish his or her employer with accurate personal details? Register as a member of NSSF. Where previously registered, produce a membership card to a new employer.